Got a little tired real quick.
Yeah.
What's up, Facebook? You're getting the quick little preview. The 2 minutes before the show, you guys get the Facebook pregame show. This stuff does not show up on the iTunes podcast. This is exclusively for you guys on the Facebook. I'm about to fire up the Twitch. These mics the mics are already hot, but we are going to be going for. We're talking Nintendo today. We're going to talk a little bit of Star Wars because the Star Wars Celebration was last week. We're going to be talking a little bit Doctor Who because I got a Doctor Who expert sitting next to me every week, so we're going to talk about Doctor Who. So I'm about to fire up the Twitch. I'm going to go quiet for a second. We don't have a hard clock in here, huh?
Right there.
Right there. Oh, there's a hard clock. All right.
Giggity, hard clock.
Hard clock. Hey.
I got a hard clock for you.
I know all of you love that hard clock. So, yeah, we are now live on Twitch as well. So, Twitch has been fired up. Facebook has been fired up. We're going to prepare to do the iTunes show because now we're actually on iTunes. This is amazing.
We're going to do the dirty.
We're going to do it dirty. And we're doing it live for the people, for those of you on Facebook. Remember, comment, share, like. If you subscribe to the show, make sure. Oh, if you go on iTunes, please rate, review, subscribe. I remember I had to steal that from another podcast. Make sure I say rate, review, subscribe because that helps the algorithm. It helps the show move up and around in the matrix of iTunes. So I'm going to go quiet for a second. That way we know where to edit this, and we're going to start the show. Live from the City of Angels, somewhere in Los Angeles, this is Dre's Geek Philosophy, the April 17th edition, the Emancipation Day edition. Happy Emancipation Day. I need to thank Abraham Lincoln for giving me an extra day to file my taxes. Or an extra day to file my extension on my taxes. Because my taxes are a mess, being kind of unemployed, kind of, partially unemployed, partially employed, partially, struggling on the struggle bus, so to speak. My taxes for 2016 are a godforsaken mess. Uber driving is just the worst.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about Uber. We might not even do the Uber segment anymore. My God, there's nothing interesting happening.
It's just depressing.
It's depressing, honestly. Yes, I am in a state of depression, and so to speak.
Depression.
Depression.
As the Cajuns say.
As the Cajuns say. Hey, would you like some depression with your? Oh shit! What's the fucking dish they always serve?
Blackened chicken or
blackened chicken, but that's the other thing.
Race into it.
Why you gotta be racist? Why is it gotta?
Why is it gotta be a racist chicken?
Why does the chicken gotta be racist? Oh, what's the thing? It's kind of like a soup, but it's not. Huh? Gumbo! Thank you. God, I'm getting old. I just attribute everything wrong to me as old age. Well, I attribute everything wrong to me. With me. See? I can't even speak right. I've lost the ability to speak. And I need to get the camera out of my face here. Let me just fire all these things off on Twitch. Yeah, let me shoot those things out over there. No, don't follow them.
Shoot this out over. Oh, over there.
Yeah, I shot it all over you.
Thank you.
I shot the little guys on Twitch all over you, my friend.
The little Twitchies.
The little Twitchies. We're gonna call them the little Twitchies. The little guys that if you're watching on Twitch, we're using a weird game.
They look like they want to fight.
They do want to fight. They do want to fight. So things happened last week in the world. A lot of things happened in the nerd world. Originally, we were going to talk about 80s cartoons, but I decided to put that subject in my back pocket and save it for another week because this week things happened last week.
A lot of things happened.
Oh no! Camera down. I have to use a different mount because we're in a different secret podcast location today. All right. So sorry, Facebook Live, and for the people listening to this on iTunes, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So last, I'm going to start off with the first thing on my list here. Last Friday, when we all woke up to Star Wars: The Last Jedi, the teaser trailer. I was expecting this because there was a big Star Wars celebration going on in Orlando. I guess the Star Wars equivalent of San Diego Comic Con. Yeah. Now that's the big old giant crazy show happening in Orlando. And then they debuted the trailer. They had the Last Jedi panel in that morning, and then the teaser trailer came out. And I get the feeling from a lot of my friends that they were not as enthused about it as I was slightly enthused. I'm a lover of things Star Wars. I am a lover of Star Wars. I love Star Wars. Wars. But I know I saw online executive producer Sam Zia had some thoughts and feelings.
I had some.
All right, so we're gonna go to you first. Let's go to you, executive producer Sam Zia. What were your thoughts and feelings about Star Wars: The Last Jedi? The teaser, the 2 minutes, the thimbleful of content that we got, the barely taste of any dialogue. Breathe, breathe. What did you think, my friend?
Meh.
Meh.
To you, Andre.
Meh. Wow, just a straight up meh. Executive producer Sam Zia was unimpressed. I know a friend of the show and our first guest on the very first live show we did, Lamar Harris, was also very underwhelmed as well.
I wish you would left. I would have been satisfied if it left me whelmed. I'm underwhelmed.
You're underwhelmed, and that's understandable. I kind of get it because unlike other trailers, which I feel like give away too much plot, this gave away literally no plot.
Oh yeah, no, it was a teaser. It wasn't a
It's a teaser.
trailer. It was a teaser.
It's something to keep people happy who paid all the money to fly to Orlando and listen to Mark Hamill tell them all that the ghost of Carrie Fisher is flipping them off.
Yeah.
That was a great quote.
Really, they set the standard on it so high with the first trailer of
Force Awakens. Yeah,
Force
that was one of the greatest trailers of all time.
I was like, my eyes were, I couldn't blink. Tears were coming out, not because I was happy or sad, but because I was not blinking, because it was so
I remember
amazing.
the back of my neck when I saw the Force Awakens 2 years ago around this time when we saw the first Force Awakens trailer. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up as I watched that trailer. It was so overwhelmingly emotional for me, and you know what?
At that moment, you actually grew hair.
I grew hair. My bald head
Just so it could stand up.
Just so it could stand up. Just so I could have hair to stand up, and not just the hair on my back and the hair on my arms and the hair I have everywhere else but the top of my head. Stood up, and it was amazing. You're welcome, Sam Zia. That was for you, my friend. That's because I love you. Now, and on Facebook, we have Mike Kersey, who on PSN we lovingly call G-Son. He says our friend Bushy Brow Lee has a theory. I have not heard Bushy's theory. I will have to ask him about that. I don't know if he's watching on Twitch or if he's watching on Facebook Live, but I'm sure I will hear Bushy's theory at some point in the next couple weeks.
Sorry, just the fact that we're referring to their screen names and stuff. So we got Bushy. It sounds like it's
Bushy Rowley.
Bushy's theory, and it's like you're talking about we just had an encounter with the squirrel.
And he joined, and he just had an encounter with a squirrel, and he just joined our Facebook Live, and he says, "Which one? A theory on the Last Jedi." Mr. Calum, aka Bushy Brow Lee, and yes, that's a Naruto reference. But while we wait for Calum to type that, I want to go to Judgmental Nerd, who always passes judgment on things.
Passes judgment.
He passes judgment. What did you think of the Star Wars the Last Jedi teaser trailer?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't show a lot, but like you said, that's a good thing because you don't want to know.
Why
I
not?
feel like Star Wars does that though. Like I mean, you look at like Last Jedi. We look at Rogue One. Those trailers didn't really show much. I mean, I remember I was actually kind of
Epic music.
Yeah,
Epic music. Thoughts and emotions.
I thought I was actually kind of upset when they showed, I think it was like the second or third trailer for Rogue One, when they showed Vader. Like, we all knew he was going to be in it. But,
it kind of was a thing, yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't need to show him.
People didn't know enough about what was going on with Rogue One going into it that they needed to have something to tie it back to the familiar. But yeah, at the same time, they are giving away so much. But I honestly don't mind having moments of the plot, especially when
you don't mind having the plot spoiled?
When you first watch it, you don't know what the plot is going to be.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Out later on, once you actually see
they'll show you stuff. They show you things out of context.
Yeah.
But I feel like you had more to say.
Well, yeah, because even if you look at the second Force Awakens trailer, they showed Finn running around in the desert, or whatever, and we had no idea what the hell was going on.
All we knew is black stormtrooper. That's all we knew.
And that was the moment that made you start to see KKK Jedi fans all jump ship. That was
I can't believe that they're gonna let one of them be a stormtrooper.
They're saying maybe you should have kept his helmet on the whole time.
By God, my stars and bars are offended.
But I feel like the next trailer, they're going to have that. Because remember, the second trailer for Force Awakens is when we got that Han and Chewie shot.
Yeah.
And that's the trailer that got me oh, shit, this is cool.
Yeah, that's like, Chewie, we're home.
Yeah,
when you got that moment, I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah, that was a moment where you could hear a million nerd boners simultaneously explode.
I believe that was the meme. Like 2 years when that trailer came out, that was the meme I made. it was like Obi-Wan. It's almost as if you heard a million nerds orgasm and were suddenly silenced.
That's exactly right.
Because the interpolation of Obi-Wan's quote.
Yeah.
But I remember when that trailer came out, it had been out for like an hour or so, and I hadn't seen it yet, and I saw all these people reacting to it, and I saw these videos of people like crying, and I'm like,
"The Last Jedi trailer?"
Yeah, the one when Han and Chewie come out.
Oh, Han and Chewie, okay.
Oh, yeah, people lost it,
and I was like, "What is going on?" And so I put it on TV at the store, and I sit there watching it. And then I remember when Han and Chewie came out, like, I didn't cry, but there was that smile. Like, there was like, oh, they're back.
Oh, yeah. I was very emotional. I was like, yes, Han and Chewie. Thank you. Sweet baby Jesus. Thank you.
I was running circles on the floor like...
So I think that's what the Last Jedi, that second trailer, has to have that moment.
It has to have that moment of, like, sheer joy or sheer, insanity.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I said, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I will love Star Wars. Although I did make a declaration to some friends the other day, like if it turns out that that Supreme Leader Snoke is what's his face is Jar Jar Binks, I will quit Star Wars. That is the one thing that will make me quit Star Wars. If Jar Jar Binks is the true Sith Lord who has orchestrated everything since the Phantom Menace, I will quit Star Wars. I will, like full stop. Like I'm done. Nope.
I honestly think that would be kind of funny.
No.
Think of the heel turn that would have had to happen.
Yes, if this was professional wrestling, then yes, that would be like that. That would be an amazing heel turn. Like the slowest of the slow burns. Like it's an 18 to 20 year slow burn of like, Me's a really racist. Me's a bad representation of possibly African American. I'm not sure. Jamaican or what? He was some sort of he was clearly a minority. And then we had the bad Asians. We had Newt Gunray. And it's like, we control the money. And then I'm sure Sam, I'm sure you were a big fan of old Wada. I'm going to sell you all the things. I'm going to rip you off. I don't want to sell you my slave boy. Racist Star Wars Episode 1.
Oh, God. There was so much like hidden racism.
That Episode 1 was like
Episode 1 was painful.
I still have not. I have not rewatched Episode 1. It's a very long time. It's the one of the six of that 6 Blu-ray package. I have not watched. I've watched the terrible Episode 2. I've watched.
It has that cool fight scene.
Has a cool fight scene. And then Episode 2 had some really good music.
Okay, yeah.
And then so did Episode 3.
Yeah. But with Episode 1, here's the weird thing that I've noticed, especially with the younger Star Wars crowd. Like, for example, my girlfriend.
Your girlfriend, yes.
She started watching Star Wars at Episode 1, and she freaking loves Jar Jar. It's so no, and I've dated other women in the past who carry the same sentiment.
What's up with you and women who like Jar Jar Binks? Executive producer Sam Zia.
That is. You know what's funny? We were talking about this the other day. In the documentary, the making of Episode 1, there's a quote where George Lucas says that Jar Jar is the key to the trilogy that is the prequels. But if you look back, he kind of is.
Well, he's the one who made in Episode 2 when in the bureaucracy half of Episode 2 when it was pure bureaucracy, and then
the C-SPAN version.
It was Star Wars C-SPAN. Good God, it really was. There were episodes of Clone Wars that were like that too. I was freaking marathon watching episode of the Clone Wars before it was taken off of Netflix, and there was entire episodes that were just like Episode 2. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Didn't you know that was bad?
That's why people hate this.
Like we don't want senates. Yeah. We don't want bureaucracy. We want to watch Jedi fight. Yeah. We want to see droids be funny and ridiculous. We don't want this. I call for a vote. There's a vote of no confidence in Chancellor Valorum. Like, why?
2 seconds.
2 seconds this. Chancellor Senator Palpatine second this. I'm like, who cares? My God.
Yeah, but Jar Jar puts him in power.
Yeah, that's he was the key. Like Jar Jar is the one responsible for making Emperor Palpatine the Emperor.
Creates the Empire.
Jar Jar, but then people take that quote out of context. They think, Jar Jar is the Jar Jar is the heads. He's the Sith.
I'm telling you. That's who he is.
It
was
can't.
the slow burn turn.
No, this is not WWE.
I feel though like in some like Empire controlled city, there's like a statue of Jar Jar. Like he's like our founding father.
Our founding father, Jar Jar Binks. Good God.
War hero.
He's the Joseph Smith of the group.
Oh my God. On that note, I'm gonna have us move on. We're almost to the quarter hour, so I'm gonna move on. Secondary. This mount sucks ass. I'm
watching it right here on here. Every time it happens, it's
like
hilarious.
I'm gonna have to put my left hand right here to hold up the phone mount the entire time. This is frustrating. So. Something else happened very big in the nerd world last week. Doctor Who came back.
It's been gone for like a year, man.
I feel like it's been over a year that the Doctor has been gone. It's only been a few years that I've gotten into the Doctor. I have to say it was around the 50th annivery that I became a Doctor Who fan. I remember when I frustrated your lovely girlfriend Joanna by telling her that I watched it all backwards. I watched Matt Smith's last episode first, and then I watched the 50th anniversary episode, which was the episode before that, and then I watched something else, and I was like, hey, this is a show about a guy who travels through time. I think I can watch them any order I feel like.
Exactly.
Honestly. And I really felt like I didn't lose anything. It was actually quite interesting. And then I went back to Netflix, and I watched, back when it was still on Netflix, I think now it's on Amazon Prime. I went through Netflix, and I watched the Ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, who, at that point, he was my favorite Doctor, and then everyone kept talking about the 10th Doctor, David Tennant, and he's like everyone's like absolute favorite.
Yeah.
But then I still haven't finished Matt Smith for whatever reason. I guess I just can't get through those. And then it left Netflix, and now I have to find out where I left off in Amazon Prime. But this new Doctor, this current guy, I think he's awesome.
Yeah,
because he's a dick.
Yeah.
Because I like the Ninth Doctor because he was a total asshole. Yeah. He was a huge asshole, and the 10th Doctor he was super cool. Like he was really cool, super nerdy. He was the super nerdy Doctor. Although I feel like maybe Matt Smith was even nerdier than him.
Yeah, he had his moments, and I think
I have a fez.
Yeah, he was the goofy Doctor. He was like everyone loved him, and but at the same time I think it was like the cat.
Cat's got to go.
But yeah, I think it was just he was pretty nerdy. I think, but it was like I don't know. He didn't have the David Tennant. Like David Tennant would get and he'd get angry and he'd get he never had those like moments.
Yeah. Oh no, but yeah. But this current Doctor, I forget his name. His name really escapes me right now. His actual name, but
Peter Capaldi.
Peter Capaldi. He is my favorite Doctor. Yeah. He keeps doing stuff that makes me a humongous fan of him. I'm like, you are ridiculous. You are a giant a-hole, and this is amazing.
It's just he's really good, man, and it's sad.
I love his voice.
Yeah. He's leaving,
and he's done at the end of the series. Three seasons or 3 series. I forget. In the UK, they are called series, not seasons. Yeah. He's done 3 series, and he's done. And we're gonna have a new Doctor. So, all right, what did you feel about this new episode? The start of the new series. It was Doctor Who expert.
Yeah.
Pete Molini.
It was fun, man. It was kind of serious. Like it was a little more serious than I expected.
I loved the college professor Doctor.
Yeah,
like he's wearing a hoodie the whole time. I was like, why is he wearing a hoodie? That's actually kind of cool. I thought that was cool because I always wear hoodies. So the Doctor wearing a hoodie, I'm like.
And like his desk was the best, man. Like he had his family pictures
up,
and then he had a little cup full of science screwdrivers. Like why?
Like a River Song, and I assume the other one was
his granddaughter.
His granddaughter. Okay.
Susan. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is that was really cool. I felt like that episode was almost kind of like a love letter to hardcore Whovians like yourself. Like I knew who River Song was. I had no clue who the other picture was. And of course, the TARDIS just sitting in the corner out of order. Honestly, I felt like he was stuck there. I was like, oh man, is he stuck? Is he stuck teaching at the school? It's like the TARDIS is out of order. I'm like, well, what's going on? And then eventually, oh yes, it was working. He found himself a new companion.
Yeah.
The nice, hilarious lady, hilarious young lady. I thought she was very amusing. She was funny.
Yeah, it was different. Like she's like they didn't take him too seriously, and like I think that was always the fun part. Is like when they're not kind of impressed about what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like, oh, that's weird.
Or like, you can travel through time and space. Oh, but wait, no, hold on a second.
Yeah.
You're an asshole.
Yeah.
That's what I think is really endearing about Doctor Who. Like because I remember as a kid, I tried to watch a couple episodes, and I think the fourth Doctor. I remember the intro always scared me.
No.
For whatever reason, the intro I was like, the intro is weird. Ew.
With his face.
With the face, like with the weird face. Woo.
Yeah.
Like, why is he always getting that phone booth? It was really weird.
Yeah.
But then I was probably 8 years old, so I was terrified.
But it was interesting. Like I'm curious to see where they go with it, and especially because it's his last season. And then you watch that little thing at the end
where they showed a little. Oh, actually, no, I didn't get to see the teaser because I wasn't watching it live. So you had to watch the other show, the whatever staff or class or whatever, all the students. And then he shows up in the first episode. I want everyone to know this is a Doctor Who show. Please watch this show.
I couldn't get into that, man.
Really?
I saw that.
So those offshoot shows are always kind of like,
I mean, they really are pushing this offshoot show because he shows up.
I saw them because they premiered it right after the first episode. They show, hey, look, here's the Doctor.
It's weird because I think it's been going on in the UK since Christmas.
Oh, really?
So I saw it way back then. And
really? I saw this is the first time showed on BBC America.
Yeah. I think it's over already. I think
really?
Yeah.
They were so behind.
Yeah. And so
it's just like Japanese anime when I was a kid. We're always behind.
Yeah. Well, it's worse. Japanese anime. We're behind years.
We're years. Like everyone's barely watching the 10th episode of Dragon Ball Super, and it's episode 50.
Yeah.
That's why I'm happy I have the Funimation app. I can get all.
You get all the episodes.
And this is the best part also. Maria's watching the episodes with me.
Oh, Dragon Ball Super, bro. Dragon Ball Super is great.
It's the best, man.
But I had a lot of fun watching this episode. Yeah. I like how they hit the hammer really hard that the companion is a lady who likes ladies.
Yes.
They really wanted to make sure everybody was like, oh, all of you sexist, anti, homophobe people, she's gay.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to deal with it.
Yep.
Her name is Bill.
Yeah.
You're if you're really I dropped it again.
Drinking game for this episode.
Oh, that's the drinking game for this episode. Good, because I feel like we're gonna have to suspend the Nintendo drinking game because if we enforce the Nintendo drinking game, it's gonna be alcohol poisoning.
They've already taken 3 shots so far.
Yeah. If we enforce the Nintendo drinking game, everyone's gonna get fucked up. Like Nintendo. Well, no, because the thing is, I have to mention that I work for Nintendo.
5.
That's a shot right there. All right, so we're at the 20-minute mark. Hey,
we should do the drinking game ourselves one of these days.
One of these days we should.
That could be bad.
We can call an Uber and we'll just. I mean, I did do the Royal Rumble show drunk, so why not? So all right, so the main event. Let's get to the main event. The reason people are probably tuning in, I'm going to talk about Nintendo. All right, so the big thing that happened with Nintendo, which spurred this becoming the subject this week. I mean, I've kind of kept the whole let's talk about Nintendo on an extensive thing. I kind of keep it in my back pocket. We did talk about Nintendo Switch. We talked about other stuff, but last week Nintendo announced that because this past Christmas they had that NES Classic came out, that cute little device.
People went crazy for it.
People went nuts for it, and it came out and everyone went crazy. It sold out everywhere. Everyone wanted it. And throughout the holidays, I almost dropped it again. And it sold out. And then this past week, Nintendo announced, after these last shipments go out to everybody, that's it. It's over. There are no more NES Classics. And everyone on the internet freaked the fuck out because they were already going for $100 on eBay. They're already hard to find. And the main question I kept seeing all over different websites, different blogs is like, why is Nintendo throwing away money here? Why does Nintendo not make more of these?
Yeah.
Well, why aren't they being capitalistic and continuing to manufacture these? Honestly, because Nintendo is different.
Yeah.
Nintendo, I remember I texted one of my friends from Nintendo. Oh, actually, he texted me. When we saw a status update I made about this, and I remember that the statement I made to him that Nintendo, they're very Japanese. This was not this success was not a planned success, so therefore it's not considered success. Surprise! These things sold out and they're really hard to find.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, but that wasn't a part of the plan. Like them producing more of these things was not a part of the business plan, and so that's like, oh no, they're not going to make more of these. Yeah. And the other thing I think a lot of people don't understand, and back when I worked at Nintendo, drink. This used to happen frequently. People would always accuse Nintendo of deliberately creating a scarce market.
Yeah.
people always accuse them of this. But what people don't know about Nintendo is that even though they are a humongous worldwide name, like, everyone around the world knows Nintendo, everyone knows Mario, they are logistically very small. I mean, there are probably more people in this building that we're in today than there are employees for Nintendo of America.
That's hard to believe.
No,
you've got to.
Let me elaborate. I'm about to elaborate. So Nintendo of America. Prove this. Oh, yeah. So, like I said, we're suspending the Nintendo Dream Game. There was a Nintendo national meeting that I attended where they had every Nintendo employee go. Like, they brought in all the field reps. They had everyone at that office in Redmond, Washington. They brought in the people from the one facility they have to distribute products. They only have one in North Bend, Washington. That's one facility that services all of North America. All maybe 400 or 500 employees were all in one room. We were all in the cafeteria to hear the Japanese CEO speak to us directly.
Wow.
Yeah, every Nintendo of America employee was in one cafeteria.
Wow.
And the Japanese CEO came from Japan to speak to everyone.
Wow.
This was probably like just around when the 3DS had come out. Yeah, that's all of that's Nintendo of America. Like, all your distribution, and on Facebook Live, Tabitha Sheehan, she was also a Nintendo rep at the same time as me. She was there. She can provide, your second verification. But yeah, Nintendo is not, it's not Sony and it's not Microsoft. Those are multinational corporations that have much more interests other than video games. I mean, obviously Sony, they make all sorts of consumer electronics. They make music. They make movies. They make all sorts of shit. They have facilities all over the world. When the Nintendo Wii was at its biggest, Nintendo had one factory in Japan that was assembling them.
Really?
Yeah. At maximum capacity, working everyone overtime, they were cranking out maybe 750,000 Wiis a month.
Wow, really?
And that was for the entire world.
Wow. Okay, so they do create scarceness, but that's just because...
No, it's because of
just how they're built.
That's they're built. They're very conservatively built. I mean, so a lot of people say, why don't they build a bigger factory? Because business isn't always booming.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sun is not always shining, my friend.
Yeah.
And the ironic thing is they did actually, because the Wii was a very extended period of boom, so they actually did increase their facility so that they could produce, they went from producing 750,000 units a month to about 1.2 million. They actually they bought the lot next door to their factory, expanded their factory, and they did increase it during the big boom time, because they were raking in the money. What, 06, 07, 08, when Wiis were flying off the shelves and everyone, every grandma, every mom and dad, every non-gamer was buying the Wii. They did expand their facility, but they did so conservatively because they knew it wasn't going to last forever. They don't recklessly expand. That's why you see a lot of these other businesses, they become flash in the pans. Like the tablet company I worked with before, they expanded rapidly. Oh, wow, we're one of the number one tablet companies in the world. Let's expand dramatically. Let's put in millions of dollars in R&D. And 2 years later, then bankrupt, and I was out of the job.
Yeah.
See, Nintendo, you can look this up on Wikipedia. Nintendo's been around for over 100 years. I feel like a lot of people don't know this.
They were a card game company?
Yes, they created they had Hanafuna cards, the little playing cards. I remember one of my exes, her grandma would always be playing with those type of cards. Mm-hmm. But so the company has been around forever. They've always shifted their business to where they could make money. Famously, they made consumer electronics. They ran love hotels, all that kind of fun stuff. And so that's why it's not scarcity on purpose. It's like when something gets hot, they fundamentally cannot keep up with it.
Yeah.
Like if something takes off, and like right now the Switch is also hard to find because they cannot keep up with the demand. And because they're a conservative Japanese company that runs very traditional Japanese values, they're not going to overreact. They're going to stand pat. They're going to follow their business plan. And that's why they're going to be around forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they don't react emotionally or impulsively like other companies where they'll jump on, or everyone started jumping on motion technology immediately as soon as Nintendo made it popular. I'm not here to toot their horn. Like, no, Nintendo does this. They cut off their nose to spite their face. There's a lot of times where their inability to keep up with stuff hurts them in the long run. I mean, obviously, right now, the backlash they're receiving over this NES Classic, they literally cannot dedicate any more resources to making this thing. It's counterproductive to them, and it also was not in their business plan to be making this. This thing was supposed, they put it in a press statement or a press release that this was intended to only be a limited edition product that was only for the holidays. They actually did go back and make more than they intended to try to satisfy demand in North America, but that was all it was intended. They're not going to continue doing it just because it's making money. It's not a part of their plan. If it's not a part of their plan, they're not going to follow it. I watched this for 7 years. I would go to we'd go to these national meetings where they explained to us the holiday plan for the holidays, and it was always, we're going to do this and this is what we're doing. And then the biggest thing with them, a lot of people always complain that Nintendo games on Nintendo prices never go down. Like a Super Mario game will stay at $50 for like several years, while all the other companies slash and burn. Like as soon as the game is like 4 months old, they drop it to 40 or they drop it to 20. Nintendo's like, no, like we made this game and they perceive a different value of their games.
Yeah,
everything is about maintaining something they called evergreen. It's like these titles are evergreen. They will always be popular. They don't produce excessive sequels. Every year. That's why I frequently explain to people, like, they're going to make one Mario Kart, they're going to make one Smash Brothers, and that's it. They're not going to do Smash 2 or Smash 7. I mean, the multiple Smash Brothers on the same console. They made that one Smash Brothers game. They felt that was their optimal product for that system. They will make the next one for the following console.
So that may answer what my next question would be.
What's your next question?
That they would make an SNES Classic?
Possibly. I feel like they would probably investigate that and think, oh, this could be something that we could potentially do. It also has a lot to do with licensing, because if they're going to try to get third-party games, they have to talk to Square Enix and say, hey, would it be possible to get Final Fantasy 2 and 3, aka Final Fantasy 4 and 6? Could we get Chrono Trigger? Could we get some other stuff? Could we get I'm trying to think of some of the other third-party games that were really big on Super Nintendo. Like, for me, it was all JRPGs. That's what I played a lot of on my Super Nintendo. But I feel like there probably were, like, Mortal Kombat. Like, you have to go find whoever has the Mortal Kombat thing and hey, can we get Mortal Kombat on the Super NES? Can we get all these other stuff?
The thing is, Mortal Kombat's 1, 2, and 3 are on the Genesis little mini machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So there's certain games that
Secret of Mana mentioned by Tabitha Sheehan on the Facebook Live. Yeah, there's a lot of great, like, I feel like that would be more of like see now that I've been saying these titles out loud, I feel like the Super NES Classic would not be as popular. It wouldn't be as good because it's more focused on a lot more these RPG style games, which are not pick up and play like a lot of stuff on your NES Classic, which is stuff that was simple arcadey style games.
Yeah.
Where the Super Nintendo had a lot more long form games.
I think the major draw of the SNES would just be another chance to play something like Super Mario World.
Yeah, Super Mario World,
Mario Kart, the original one.
Yes, the original Super Mario Kart. Yeah. It's funny, like the original Donkey Kong Country. Yeah. Like I'm trying to think, like Star Fox would be the original Star Fox would be another one.
So there's a lot of first party stuff that they can write.
They can write.
Some of the best experiences on the system
were
third party.
Yeah, we're third party. And then that's not something and those type of games are not mass market games. That's not like that is not your 80% of people out there who would be buying the NES Classic. Yeah. That would be your 20% of gamers. And that's another thing. A lot of people don't realize that percentage of the hardcore gamer versus the casual gamer. Yeah. And people, Nintendo always they go more towards the casual gamers. Like, yeah, there's a lot more of them. Yeah. That's a much bigger demographic. They do tailor to the hardcore occasionally, but sometimes that burns them. Like, because people that's another frequent complaint I got about Nintendo back in the day was, Nintendo always, they just rely on their franchises.
Yeah, they insist upon themselves.
Yeah, but that's what the market demands.
Yeah.
Because during those 7 years I worked at Nintendo, there were a lot of great, they published a lot of really great non-popular, non-franchise things, and they didn't sell. People didn't buy them. And people are voting with their wallets. And when people vote with their wallets, that means we get New Super Mario Brothers Wii.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's why you get another, that's where you get another Donkey Kong. You get another, Legend of Zelda.
Stuff that you can't get on the other systems.
Yeah, and the stuff that's exclusive to them.
Yeah.
And that's where they succeed. That they provide they provide a time. Oh, Super Metroid. How could I forget Super Metroid on the on the SNES Classic? That's my favorite. That's probably my favorite SNES game of all time. Thank you for pointing that out. Tabitha Sheehan on Facebook Live.
Also mentioned earlier about the Amiibos.
The Amiibos. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, the Amiibos, yeah. They can't keep up with production. And that's the other thing. They're not going to be like other companies. They're not going to hire someone else to make the product for them. Yeah. There was a short period of time where they actually did outsource Game Boy Advances to China. I remember seeing those. All those were made in China. But I think they stopped doing that because, the quality went down, and Nintendo is all about the quality. And let me mention one more. Let me mention another thing that's a weird Nintendo business practice that the other companies do that they don't. Nintendo always tries to sell their hardware at a profit. Where Sony and Microsoft sell their hardware at a loss.
Yeah, that's true.
They will like the components in, like when those first systems first come out, like a PS2 or a PS3 or an Xbox.
PS3 $600 one, yeah.
That thing probably had like $900 worth of hardware of what 2005 or 2006 hardware in there, and that was $600, and that was them. That's the bare minimum. They're still taking a loss at $600.
Yeah.
Where Nintendo put out the Wii at $300, or no, it was like, oh wow, my memory really is going. I don't remember how much the Wii was when it first came out. I believe it was $250 or it was either $250 or $300, and that was at a profit. Yeah. Nintendo, the big one everyone complained about was the 3DS. When the 3DS first came out, it was $250. That was them trying to profit. That they were trying to make sure they made a profit because they don't have, Microsoft has Windows. Yeah. They're always going to have money coming in from that. Mm-hmm. That's the operating system that the majority of people use. Yeah. I mean, that's what you use. They're always going to have money coming in from that. Sony, they have so many other divisions. It's funny, because there were times where the PlayStation division was propping up the rest of the company, but then there's more often than not the rest of the company's propping up PlayStation.
Yeah, well, Sony has TVs. Sony has,
yeah, they have all sorts of other things. Nintendo just makes this stuff. They do license out their properties, and they're actually starting to become a little bit more free or accepting of licensing out their properties more frequently now in these last five years, I feel, because they realize that's a revenue stream they've been kind of ignoring, because they're super protective of their IPs. Yeah. That's why you'd always see crappy t-shirts at the swap meet with fake Marios on them. Now you're starting to see stuff at retail where it's okay, you're seeing the licensed products out there. They're making a bigger effort. I remember right before I left, they started making a bigger deal about, okay, we need to use our classic characters because that's our brand. Our brand is Mario. Our brand is Zelda. Our brand is Princess Peach. All these different characters. That's where a lot of their money can be derived from. But the company's complicated, man. They are not a normal company. And then I remember because I had made this similar response to one of my friends on Facebook. I was trying to keep from making these responses because I wanted to save this for the show. I was trying to be a good podcast host. I'm like, I need to save my opinions for the show. But I made kind of a short version of the response, and then someone else replied. I'm like, oh, look at that. A corporation that's not trying to maximize profits. Why aren't there more companies like that? I'm like, it's more of a Japanese thing than it is, than it is an American corporation thing. Here it's if Nintendo was an American corporation, the NES Classic would just be in perpetuity. Yeah, they'd be everywhere.
Then eventually you end up finding them in Big Lots. And
see, that's the other thing. Nintendo's very protective of their brand. They don't want their stuff to end up like that. Yeah. Unintentionally, sometimes it ends up that way. Mm-hmm. But it's insane. See, a big title for them back in the mid 2000s was a game called Brain Age on the DS.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And that one, Nintendo loved that game because that game had consistent sales over the course of several years. It may have only sold 50,000 units a month, but it sold 50,000 units a month for every month. Yeah. They showed that on a graph compared Legend of Zelda, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. It's a Legend of Zelda game. It sells 500,000 units the first month, 100,000 units the second month, 10,000 units the third month, and then just trickles off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And over the course of 8-9 months, it trickles off till it kind of just doesn't really sell. Where you have these other titles, like this Brain Age game, 50K every month, consistently over the course of several years. That game was way more profitable than any of the big ones.
Yeah.
And then once the DS became a big thing, and then some of those other titles, like a New Super Mario Bros., that became a consistent quote-unquote evergreen title. That's why it never went down from $40 because it was still selling. And that was profitable for both Nintendo and for the companies for the retailers who were selling it because, they could still sell it at $40. They were making their highest possible profit margin on every unit. It's think about it, Pete. If you had a comic book at your store that you knew would sell 20 copies every month,
Yeah, you just gotta keep it going.
You'd want that product, right? Yeah. You'd want like, oh, there could be a book that sell $100 the first month and then $25 the next month, and then travels down to 5 to 1 to doesn't sell anymore. That's Nintendo's strategy. They're constantly trying to stumble upon what they call them evergreen titles, where where the person or they're looking for the consumers who didn't care if it was a new release or not, because a lot of these gamers, they only want the game that's brand new, or they want the game that's really cheap.
A great example of a game that had wild sales and great expectations, and then probably a week later started to sell nothing, was No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. Yep. See right there. That's a great example. I remember because that was during my 3-month sojourn in GameStop last year. Yeah. I remember the first week couldn't find the game, and then 2 weeks later, every store had used copies because everyone was trading it in because they found out, you know what, it wasn't, it didn't deliver what was promised.
And they're trying to update it. They say they made it we're just building the foundation for something bigger, and nobody went back.
No one's gonna come back. I bought that game. I felt like a fool.
I bought it. I played to death. And then I realized, shit, this is boring I like the relaxation aspect of it.
It is rather relaxing.
It's dull as dog shit.
It is quite dull, and that's the key. That's what, and that's the struggle in the game industry, that people don't realize. Nintendo's always constantly trying to stay on top of that, where they try to find products that will that long-term profitability. Not big money, but consistency. Yeah. That's what they're constantly trying to look for. That's where they had a big stumbling block with the Wii U. Obviously, we discussed that our very first episode back in January, because that turned out they were trying, like I said back then, they were trying to cater to both the hardcore and the casuals at the same time, which created a product that neither side wanted.
Well, and you could talk about how they stick to their plan and everything, but it seems like they know when to abandon an idea when it's not working.
This is true. No, they will pull the plug on something if it doesn't work. I remember the Game Boy Micro. That thing was like a thing that sold really hot at first, because it was around that time where it was in the impression everybody wanted smaller, because cell phones were getting smaller and smaller and smaller at that point in 2004, 2005. I had my tiny little Nokia, and that Game Boy Micro, nope.
Just didn't
sell. They pulled the plug on it. I remember the following Black Friday, Nintendo got rid of all their product through Walmart. Oh. It was for $20 or $30, you could have got them Game Boy Micro on Black Friday.
Wow.
It was nuts. It was they sent out pallets of them just to liquidate the things and just like you said, they know how to pull the plug when something goes wrong. Like the Virtual Boy, that was gone within a year.
Yeah.
That was probably their most famous.
Wii U was probably one of their more spectacular ones.
It was a spectacular failure. I mean, it inherently, if you bought it and gave it a chance, it actually was a quality system. I had a lot of fun with it from when I used it, but I could see how a normal person would not enjoy it. Because remember the time I brought it with 8 controllers and we played 8-player Mario Kart?
Yeah.
That was awesome. We friggin' played crazy Mario Kart. And I had Smash Brothers night at my house where we were playing 8-player Smash. There are specific moments where that thing was an amazing machine, but it wasn't consistent. We're all right, there were a few cool games here and there, but it's just okay.
Yeah. It just didn't deliver what they were expecting at all.
Yeah. Tabitha, again, I know she's excited to talk about Nintendo. She likes to bury them as much as I do. They were testing the waters for the Switch. I was kind of it's almost like it felt like maybe the Wii U was kind of like a beta test of the Switch.
It was an expensive beta test.
Yeah. Hey, I guess, sometimes, I think another thing is they try to find success from failures. Yeah, because I'm sure. I remember there's one one of those times where you and I were sitting here watching What Culture videos, and they showed it's a lot of these ideas, they stick to their ideas and they just wait until they find a way to make it work. With Virtual Boy, that didn't work, but the 3DS did.
Yeah,
the Power Glove, that didn't make any sense, but the Wii did.
Power Glove this week. The old school gaming place that's at the mall by my place, right there on display. He
had a Power Glove.
Power Glove. I nearly lost it.
It's so cool.
It's so bad.
What was that movie?
The Wizard.
Yeah.
The Wizard.
Yeah, Wizard. The Wiz. Sorry.
No, wrong movie.
Yeah.
You're thinking The Wiz was Black Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
The Wizard was an hour and a half commercial for Super Mario 3.
Which was a good game.
which is one of my favorite games of all time.
One of the greatest of
I remember as a kid, I never understood why the kid freaked out when he pulled out the power glove. He's like, "Oh no, I can't go up against that." Like,
no one could control that freaking the way he was controlling Rad Racer. That's not how it works. Yeah. Damn you, Hollywood, for portraying the power glove as something that could that'll make you better at freaking it's freaking Rad Racer. No way. There's no way you can control Rad Racer with the freaking power glove. Ridiculous. Oh God! Like people complain about gimmicks now. There were a lot of bad gimmicks in the NES era.
Do you think that? And I know that the answer for this is absolutely not.
Okay.
But how much fun would it be if they actually re-released a Power Glove that's actually up to today's standards? They've mastered motion control with their setups. All of their stuff are really solid. The Switch is outstanding with it.
It'd be kind of cool.
Can you imagine?
I think the for nostalgia's sake, I think it would sell really well at first. But again, it's not a long term. Like it would be something along the lines of like an NES Classic, something they'd make for like a one-off to sell during the holidays,
limited edition.
Just try to kind of capitalize on people's, if it's, I'm sure it's already been the 20th anniversary since, or maybe the 20th anniversary has passed. Because apparently it's
we're working on the 30th.
Or we're working on the 30th. So maybe for the 30th anniversary of the Power Glove, they can do a Power Glove, or whatever their next system. If they do VR, I see Anthony Toy on Facebook Live says a VR Power Glove. It's like
VR Power. That would be great. A great application for that.
So yeah, I think like whatever the next system they have in line, because Nintendo's always so they've put out the Switch. There's already some guys in a lab in Kyoto, Japan, working on the next thing. That's how they operate.
Yeah.
Like that's how that's how the company works. They're always trying to stay ahead. That's why they abandon stuff sometimes and just move on.
Yeah.
It's a weird company. Like it was actually oddly frustrating to work for them because it would be very contradictory. Because there'd be times, because I was out there, I was a physical representation of Nintendo in Los Angeles, and I have to go out and sell. I remember 2006 having to go out and tell people, oh no, there is not going to be a new version of the DS. This DS is the one we have, and then the DS Lite comes out, and I'm like, what the fuck? It's like they don't want to get it out, and then people kind of assume like this is what Nintendo does. They're just going to do another version. I'm like, the DS Lite comes out. I'm like, okay, this is the DS. There won't be another one. DSi. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It was the most. It would drive me insane. I'm like, oh, they're gonna make a bigger version, aren't they? I'm like, no. I'm like, we have been told by our supervisors that there's no plans for an XL version, DSi XL. Oh, Tabitha again on the Facebook Live. There was a pulse sensor. It was going to be a Wii Health game. They remember they showed this thing. Thank you for reminding me, Tabitha. They had this thing that was going to be for the Wii, where you literally would attach a pulse sensor to your finger, and it would sense your pulse as you were playing. And it was funny. The internet was all over it. And like the application, I guess the most obvious application was going to be survival horror, where like the more scared you got, the game would know and react. Like if they could have gotten like I guess there was a game called Eternal Darkness, where like if they could have tied that game into your heart rate, and measure your vitals as like the more anxious or more nervous you got, the more the game fucked with you. That would be amazing. And I feel like I'm sure Oculus Rift they're probably going to be working on stuff like that. But Nintendo, they never released it. Like they showed it at one E3 because there was gonna be it was gonna have health applications and it was gonna have survival horror. Like the internet was like all over it. They're trying to think, oh, what could this possibly be? Nintendo's on top of it, and then it was quietly just dismissed. It was never spoken of again. It was just gone.
I know Nintendo would never do this, so I'm hoping another company...
If only everyone could have seen the smile that was on Sam Zia's face for the last couple minutes. I can only imagine what's going to come out of his mouth right now. Phrasing.
Because Nintendo was trying to, put out a pulse sensor kind of thing.
Okay,
and
here we go.
Make it react to whatever your pulse rate. I know Nintendo won't do this, but I was wondering if one company would step up to the bat on this one.
Okay.
And figuratively.
I already have a response ready, locked and loaded for this.
And have a pulse sensor for your dick. And it can react and adjust the gameplay accordingly.
See, they would not be first to market on this.
No.
There was a game on the PS2 called Rez. I don't know if you ever heard of this game. I believe a third-party company made an accessory that you could use because the game was all about pulses and beats.
Yes.
And you could put it in your private area, and then it would vibrate to the rhythm of the game.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Now, see, that's the thing. You have to find, like, that's where we're going.
Anyone watching this live, go Google Res Vibrator.
Yeah.
Go Google Res Vibrator.
And picture it being used with VR.
Dick sense, yeah.
VR.
Didn't they have a bunch of that last year at E3 with all the VR porn?
Oh, I know. I'm actually friends with the person who's like the forefront, the face of all VR porn. It's Ella Darling. She's awesome. She's outstanding.
Because they had the longest line.
People out there too. She has a master's degree.
They had one of the longest lines at E3 for VR outside of Oculus Rift. They probably had
the longest line.
Oh, like where people were like, you could watch VR porn. Because last year's E3 was all about VR. I'm anxious to see what this year's theme of E3 is going to be. If it's going to be some couch. I hope that selfishly I hope this year's E3 there you go. Quality podcasting. Hashtag quality podcasting. The theme for this year's E3 I hope is couch co-op, where games you can play with your friends physically next to you.
Well, I mean, couch co-op for me almost created a baby. Or did create a baby. Hashtag JoJo rules.
Hashtag JoJo rules.
Hashtag Super Kami JoJo.
Super Kami JoJo. Our youngest fan.
That's what couch co-op was all about.
Our youngest fan, three months old.
My day couch co-op meant that I got a Hummer.
Couch co-op meant both of your controllers got used.
Yes.
You could
had to please her too.
And a callback to episode 7. Couch co-op meant you'd use your Dolphin vibrator gaming controller to help yourself get off and complete the mission in the game. Good God! Yes, of course. I knew with the smile on your face that we were gonna take this into the warm pillows of Dickland.
Hey,
we were gonna pop our testicular parachutes and float deep into the world of dicks.
I'm telling you, just get me started on sex nerd shit. And
I know you had a show. One of the shows you worked on before was about you being a sex nerd.
Well, sex expert.
Sex expert. Nerd expert. Same thing. A nerd can be considered an expert.
A connoisseur.
A connoisseur. A sommelier.
Sommelier.
You'd vaginal sommelier.
A vaginal sommelier.
This is quality.
You're welcome, iTunes. I mean, I know this is not the worst content that iTunes is going to get, but this is some quality content. You're welcome, Facebook land. I hope people with kids are not watching this with your kids. As Dre slowly waves to the camera. Let me wave to Twitch.
And all the little guys are waving back at you on Twitch.
Oh, they're all waving me back on Twitch. All my little guys on the Twitch camera. So, all right, a segment that I forgot to do last week. So we're going to end the Nintendo topic talking about sex. So a segment I wanted to talk about, a segment I forgot to mention last week during the show, was Dre's both hands, Dre's weight loss challenge. Oh, yeah. I was going to use the show to keep myself accountable about my weight. And actually, in the last two, because when we first announced it, I was 259 pounds. This is the largest I've ever been in my life. That is the biggest I've ever been. And last week I was 255.
Nice.
I changed my lunches from going to In-N-Out and and other places like getting burritos from like Taco Lita because I'm over in that vicinity during the day.
Hashtag Taco Lita.
Hashtag Taco Lita. As for D-Loke and for Sam and Chris Moreland and Andrew Koch, all the Taco Lita lovers. And I switched to I started going to Subway and eating less. I got myself like a 6-inch tuna sub, 6-inch turkey sub, and just changing my diet a little bit. I haven't had a chance to do any of my DDP yoga, but just by changing my diet alone. Okay, let me move the controller here. There we go. Just changing like that. Last week 255. This week to this morning I weighed myself 253.
There you go.
I'm coming down. I've reduced my caloric content. I'm eating. I'm not eating late at night. I'm not having myself double doubles at midnight. Although we are probably going to go to Chronic Taco after this. Like, I haven't had dinner. We're going to go to Chronic Taco after this, and I'll probably gain 2 pounds right there because the Chronic Taco next to Sam's house is open, and I want some Chronic Taco.
I already put on 10 pounds.
No, see, and I knew it. I knew someone on Facebook Live was going to say, as soon as I mentioned Subway, Tabitha Sheehan, you are the MVP of this episode today. She says, don't become a pedophile.
Yeah.
Wow.
I knew as soon as I mentioned the Subway diet, everyone's going to think of the good old pervy pedophile Jared. Oh, that monster. That terrible man. He makes it uncomfortable. He makes it slightly uncomfortable to eat at Subway.
He is currently Bubba's bitch in Subway.
I sincerely hope so.
Didn't he lose like 300 pounds?
I thought he gained it back. Hasn't he gained it back in prison?
Children's dick.
No, not in children's dick. He probably has plenty of access to prisoner protein.
Yeah,
he's probably having lots of prisoner protein right now, and that's why he's gaining all his weight back.
He's bulking.
I'm sure he's panic eating or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, they don't have the Subway diet in prison, do they?
No, I'm sure there's other footlongs that I'm sure he's being forced to enjoy. This is a family show.
He's not eating fresh anymore.
Oh, I'm sure there are some things that are fresh that, well, you know what? Maybe sometimes they can be a little ripe in prison. You know, maybe it's not, you know what? I think you're right, Pete. I think some of the things he's enjoying in prison are not fresh.
I'm sure he's been serving up the tossed salad.
Serving tossed salad, a Tabitha again on Facebook Live. He's a bottom for sure.
A power bottom.
I'm sure he's a power bottom. Yes. I love how we're just like cascading the show down this direction. Like I go into my weight loss challenge and we start going right back to dick talk. Good old dick talk.
Right in my wheelhouse.
G-Son, Mike Kersey, now he's a Subway. Oh, they're running a train on him. Oh, Power Glove Bottom, Tabitha again. Power Glove, tying everything together. Tabitha, MVP. You're the MVP today.
That's the name of this episode.
Oh, no. Power Glove Bottom. Contextually, that makes absolutely no sense. You'd have to listen to the episode first. I don't want to scare people on iTunes. Like, I thought this was Power Glove Bottom. Is this some sort of leather podcast? Some leather S&M podcast that I tuned in for? Jesus. Jesus Christos. I'm sorry. Rolando, if you watch this, I'm sorry for my blasphemy, my friend. I try not to blaspheme I try not to blaspheme that much as Sam flicks away. Hey, you know what? People might listen. You know, the most surprising topics have gotten the best reactions out of this show. Like when we degenerated into me talking, I was re-listening to episode 7 the other day. Because, you know, if I download my own podcast, is that podsterbating?
Yes, it is.
Is that master potting? If I'm listening to myself podcasting, and I re-listen to the epic, you know, back to back, you know, the GameCube Dolphin vibrating controller, and then how I followed that up with who is interrupting my kung fu coitus. Yes. We've had some really good moments on this show. And I have to say, I am proud of the ridiculous moments that we have on this show. That's why we keep coming back. And I hope you guys keep coming back and watching. Phrasing. Keep on coming back. There you go.
Not much phrasing. But
not much phrasing. So on that note, I think we're going to wrap things up a little bit. Phrasing. Damn it. Now that's all I can do now. That's all I'm thinking about is how can I turn everything into a sexual innuendo?
That's part of us.
That is us. I mean, honestly, I this is what I do in real life, so why not do it on the show? I mean, next week maybe I'll come on and talk about my depression. Why not?
Maybe we should start thinking about how we can adapt this show to a VR format.
Oh God, no! People don't want me in virtual reality.
People can sit here and like reach out and touch us.
Oh, phrasing.
Virtually.
We're still using phrasing, right?
Penis pulse control sensor.
Penis pulse control. I'll go find that res vibrator on eBay. I'm sure it'll only set me back a few $100s. and I'll dig up my PS2 and my copy of Res, and we'll just vibrate the night away. For Sam, what is your Twitter handle?
Oh, he's falling apart, man.
Sam Z570. Sam Z570.
Peter, what's your Twitter handle?
Nostalgic_comics.
You can follow the show at DreGP Podcast. You can watch us on Twitch, Be Ridiculous. Twitch.tv/DreGP Podcast. You can find us on Facebook, and you can see Sam thrusting the night away at facebook.com/DreGP Podcast. If you're not listening to this on iTunes, you can listen to this without the benefit of video. You can find us on iTunes.com. Just search Dre's Geek Philosophy, and you will find a picture of me holding my head like this. That's my standard position.
It does happen a lot.
Me putting my hand to my head. It does happen a lot. Remember, if you do go to iTunes, please rate, review, subscribe. It helps the algorithm. That way more people say, we already have a review. Someone liked the show. We got 5 stars.
Nice.
5 stars. We got a 5-star review. I don't even know who it is. Hey, you know what? We put quality content out here, sir. Sir. There's quality content. Get over here. For my executive producer, Sam Zia. For Judgmental Nerd, Pete Malimi. I'm your host, Dre Cervantes. You've been listening and or watching Dre's Geek Philosophy. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Have a good night.